This is a big lie because I lived in Gaza as a child and I witnessed the terrorism against Israel before the occupation. So this is how I grew up. 22 Arab countries did everything they could to make life impossible for Israel to exist. There is no freedom and democracy in any Arab country.
Innocent blood still dripping from your hands. You demand protection from this council while plotting the extermination of my people. Enough with the performances.
All right, let's get at it. Let's get going. Let's talk about Hamas.
Born and raised as a Muslim in Cairo, Egypt, but I grew up as a child in the 50s in the Gaza Strip. And the reason I was in Gaza was because Gaza at that time was part of Egypt. I attended Gaza elementary schools where we learned hatred, vengeance, retaliation. Peace was never an option. The concept of peace was something foreign. Actually, the word peace was never even mentioned in the services of any mosque. We recited poetry every day in the school, wishing upon ourselves to die as martyrs. You know, I used to see girls reciting this poetry while they're crying. They would wish upon themselves to die as a martyr. See, our value system was about victimhood, thinking of ourselves as victims, or to be a martyr, to go kill everybody and die as a martyr, either a victim or a martyr. There is nothing in between. Women don't go to mosques, but we used to hear the service of the mosque either on radio or on TV.
How weird is that, man? How much does that sound like what we even hear in our social justice discussions now? Like, I'm a victim, I'm a martyr. I'm a victim, I'm a martyr. I'm a victim, I'm a martyr. I mean, that's very akin to what we're hearing now. But let's keep going.
And I remember every Friday prayer, the sheikh would be, at the end of the sermon, he would curse, may God destroy the Jews and the infidel and even the Christians and non-Muslims. And he would call non-Muslims the enemies of Allah. This is how I grew up. 22 Arab countries did everything they could to make life impossible for Israel to exist. The Arab League forbade absorbing the so-called Arab Palestinians, rejected to give them citizenship in any Arab country. Yep. So you could see a Palestinian born in Cairo, for instance, and never get the citizenship and die in Cairo. They are born and die in Syria, a Palestinian, and they never get a citizenship. Why? Because the Arab League wanted the Palestinian problem never to be solved. The agenda is to keep them refugees from birth to death. The culture was so for sacrificing. They encouraged women to stand up in front of the cameras and say, I gave my son to the jihad and I want my other children to die in the jihad. Yep. Women who are for life, for peace, were looked down upon. Women who would be radical, if not more radical than men, who will promote jihad for their children, were lifted up as honorable women to be respected in society. So for a woman to be respected in Islamic society, you have to be as radical, if not more radical, than men. And that is why a lot of women are silent. They are proud to give their children to jihad. It's the only way to go to heaven is to go and kill the infidel and die in the process. The Arabs of Israel were pushed constantly. They are rejected from being absorbed and constantly pushed against the borders with Israel.
Okay, I'm here to pick a fight. Please, in the comments down below, tell me that Christianity is like this. Tell me that Christianity is like this, that Christianity teaches its children to hate, to desire to be deleted as a martyr, that the women are giving their children to martyrdom. Tell me that. Show me that in real time, and not just some ancillary crazy group out there in the woods somewhere. I want to show me mainline Christianity does this. And even better, you show me book, chapter, verse in context where it's actually taught. I would love to see that. This is ridiculous. This is insane what we're seeing. This woman right here, man, this is abuse of another level. This is ridiculous. Let's go.
In order to keep the problem alive. The Arab world doesn't have a shortage of land. If you look at the Arab world from the Atlantic Ocean, Morocco, all the way to Persia, from Turkey all the way to Sudan. At that time, when I was a child, the Sinai was practically empty desert. Nobody lived in the Sinai. Like today, there is Sharm el-Sheikh, all the nice beaches. This was a military zone. And there is absolutely no need, no pressing need for Arabs to be so dwelled on wanting to throw the Jews in the sea. This international conflict called the Arab-Israeli conflict really is a fabrication. This is not a conflict over land. And anybody who thinks it's a conflict over land is misguided because we don't see the truth. The truth is Arabs, there is something in Islam, anti-Jewish, anti-Christian. And I will tell you why. Those people calling themselves Palestinians who live in the Gaza and the West Bank are the pawns of the Arab world. I don't believe that they care about their happiness or welfare. They are set up to live a miserable life on purpose in order to show the world that we're victims. Do you think Saudi Arabia, with all the money they have, the Gulf countries, all these oil money, they can't give them good roads and good homes and good police and turn it into a productive area of the Middle East? They can, but that is not their objective. There is a hidden objective, and I don't understand why Western culture doesn't get it. Why Western media doesn't get it. Why don't they compare the living conditions of Gaza and the West Bank with Egypt, with Syria, with Jordan? And if they do, they will find that the standard of living is even higher than many areas of the Arab world. But Western media are too lazy to compare apples with apples. They want to compare apples and oranges. I don't know, how can I call Western media ignorant? They should not be ignorant. And then they go and ask Israel, why don't you do some concessions for the Palestinians? I never hear them stand up to Arab leaders and ask Western media. Why don't they ask Arab leaders, how about some concessions to the Israeli people? We never hear that. And it's very convenient to blame all of this terrorism on, after 9/11 especially, they blame the terrorism. Oh, it's because we have this terrorism everywhere by Muslims. It's all because of the occupation. If it wasn't for the occupation of Gaza, if it's not for the occupation of the West Bank, we wouldn't have a problem. The problem all is because of Israel. That's what they want to give the impression. And this is a big lie, because I lived in Gaza as a child, and I witnessed the terrorism against Israel before the occupation of Gaza and before the occupation of the West Bank. And our media here doesn't even know that. There was terrorism against Israel before the occupation. So people who are Arabs who claim that they are doing terrorism now because they want freedom, democracy. No, there is no freedom and democracy in any Arab country.
How dare you?
Wow.
How dare you write 5 letters in the last week, come before this council, demand a session, and ask the international community for sympathy? How dare you ask the international community to protect you from the consequences of your own genocidal agenda? Have you no shame? For years, your supreme leader, Ayatollah Khamenei, has publicly and repeatedly called for the destruction of Israel and the United States. In May 2024, he declared, and I quote, "The divine promise to eliminate the Zionist entity will be fulfilled." In May 2025, he said, and I quote, "The Zionist regime that is a lethal, dangerous, cancerous tumor should certainly be eradicated, and it will be." These statements are your regime's policies. Your government has attempted the assassination of Prime Minister Netanyahu. It attempted the assassination of President Trump. Your operatives have plotted to attack Jewish communities and kill Israeli civilians across the world. Now, now, with innocent blood still dripping from your hands, you come here asking for sympathy. You demand protection from this council while plotting the extermination of my people. It's enough. Enough with the performances. Enough with the theater. How can this council allow the representative of a regime that funds, arms, and orchestrates terror across the world to come here and play victim? It's like a wolf complaining when the shepherd fights back to protect his flock.
Wow. Yo, that is pretty wild. And again, we don't fully understand geopolitics here in the West. We don't understand it because that's not our lane. And I can totally get it. And I think there's definitely more to this story than what we've been told. And ultimately, when the smoke clears, we have to say that's not what we're going to support, or you all need to move a different way. And I think that's well within our range to ask that, especially if you want support and our sympathy. Why are you training your children to hate these people? Why is the countries around you all not supporting you? Why are you in a perpetual state of being refugees? Those are some questions I think we need to ask. And I don't think that's a lap too far to ask that. So anyway, down in the comments, let me know what you think. Give me your 2 cents about it. Give me your thoughts, all that kind of good stuff. I'm looking forward to hearing what you have to say. If you don't mind, thank you so much for liking this video, as well as for subscribing and helping us hit our goal of 50,000 subscribers. I'm looking forward to celebrating with you all real soon. So until next time, everybody, grace and peace.